Club for our first vlog ever. We're really excited. We've been trying to see how we could start our first vlog, and we thought, what not better than talking about love, because Valentine's just passed by.
Yes.
And I don't think we've ever really touched on the topic yet. And so we're gonna go in depth more about the reason why we're gonna talk about singleness today.
Yeah. So we decided to create this series called Every Season Has Its Purpose, and basically we want to touch upon different stages that you may encounter within a relationship.
And so we want to discuss also what a woman who has a relationship with God faces in their season of singleness, and how to confront the various issues that come in being in this stage.
Yeah. So this first part we wanted to touch upon singleness, and so we decided to call it Single But Not Alone. So the first point that we want to touch upon is focusing on your priorities. What are you prioritizing? Are you focused on prioritizing a relationship with someone else, or are you focusing yourself, prioritizing to focus on yourself, to better yourself, or to build a deeper relationship with God?
And so when I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking about how when our thoughts are not on the kingdom, then we're gonna seek to please other things that aren't God. Right now in this season, we have the ability to focus on our relationship with God, how we can serve Him, and how to please Him. So our time is valuable, and you have the ability right now to put that as your priority. Yes, you might have work, you might have school, you might have duties at home, but first place should be God, and it reflects, I really think it does, in what you do. And so in this part right here, when you're in singleness, this stage, what are you putting as your first place? Is it really God? Is it thinking about how you can serve Him in your local church, in your community, how to use your ministry to its full capacity? Because you don't want God coming back like in the parable with the talents. Is it 10?
Yeah.
10 talents, right? And the guy who used his, multiplied it, and then the one who didn't, God, but it was the master, kicked him out. And I think, right now was when we can use our talents and what we have to its full capacity and give God even more, and each time He'll multiply it. And so right now, I think we should be prioritizing our relationship with God, getting to know Him better, spending time in prayer, seeking His face, not just His hand. So, I think that's really important in this season. You get to know the different attributes of God, and, you get to learn His kindness, His mercy, His love, His faithfulness. And so, and we're going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 32. Right here, and it says, I would like you to be free from concern. An unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs, how he can please the Lord. But a married man is concerned about the affairs of this world and how he can please his wife. And his interests are divided. An unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the Lord's affairs. Her aim is to be devoted to the Lord, both body and spirit. But a married woman is concerned about the affairs of this world and how she can please her husband. I am saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way in undivided devotion to the Lord. And if you've ever liked someone, which I'm pretty sure is all of us,
definitely.
You've experienced that division where you're divided between, okay, you're at a service and you're like, okay, I'm here to worship God, and you're worshiping, and then you're like, is he worshiping? Let me see what he's doing, Or let's say you're focused on your ministry and you're doing something, and then you're just kind of like, oh, I wonder what he's doing right now, or like where he's sitting at in the service. And so when we're divided, that completely takes your concern away from what you were doing to serve God, and you're led astray. And so I think this verse, Paul is just saying, don't have your mentality divided. Give your whole body and soul to God. So body, if it's labor, that means going to church constantly, helping out at every event. Or if it's spiritually, spending time and devoting those moments that you say is for God, and no other thoughts, nothing else. And so that is our first point, knowing your priorities.
Yeah, and it's something that you constantly have to practice, because it's not something easy that you can change, from one day to another. It's something that you have to set your mind to, and, really focus on changing that priority. Because I know for me, I've gone through seasons in my singleness, where I'm so focused on wanting to be in a relationship, and I've fallen in that, I've fallen short with God on that part. And something that has really helped me throughout, you know, my singleness, and throughout, you know, that those times that I've gone through, not really prioritizing God, is asking myself, why is it important, you know, for you to be in a relationship? Are you seeking to be in a relationship, you know, for the pictures, for the Instagram, you know, let's be honest, you know, for the cute post, and you really
Not
have
being
to
alone during Valentine's Day.
and you really have to think, you know, you have to think to yourself and question yourself, is this relationship really gonna distract me from God, or is it gonna uplift me? So really analyzing it, you know, I saw that if I would have stepped into a relationship with someone at the time that I wanted to, you know, be in a relationship, I would have seen that it would have been a distraction for me and my relationship that I have with God.
So the second point we're going to touch upon is let him pursue you. And so I think this is something that we find very hard as women, is when we want something, or, you know, we see someone that could potentially be our partner, we kind of want to help God, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just gonna send him a text. I'm just gonna invite him here and there, or, you know, we do these little things, but in the end, adding up, it shows that we're pursuing the person rather than the person is pursuing us. And so I think as single women, we have to be able to discern whether they're interested or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if they're interested, they're going to let you know how they feel about you. They won't make you feel confused. They'll be intentional. And I think that when they see the opportunity to spend time with you, get to know you, they're going to take it and not let it go. I think just allowing him to pursue you, let him take the role of, you know, looking for you, spending time with you, asking you to hang out. For those that know me very well, it takes a lot for me to be interested or like someone, because I'm afraid of getting hurt. I'm afraid of rejection. And so, you know, I was thinking twice about this person, and, you know, but he's such a great guy, or, oh, he has this potential of being like, you know, this and this. Our ministries go so well. Like, oh, he's perfect. But at the same time, there was someone else who would ask me just to have Bible studies at school. So I was like, oh, yeah, of course. So, you know, we were having devotionals in the morning. You know, it was just as I would do with my other friends. I didn't think anything of it. But this guy would take his time to be, hey, I remember you said you had a test. So he would text me, I hope you do well. I'm like, oh, you remember that? That was like last week that I told him. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Or like later the day after a devotional, he'd say, hey, this was really fun. When are you free next week to have another one? And I remember the same day that I had the devotional with the person, I was supposed to meet up with the other guy who flaked on me. And I remember thinking, if this guy who's not even going out with me, who doesn't even like me, and we're just having devotionals together, can take the time to even send me a text message, this person can't text me, hey, I can't make it. Like, you know? So I think knowing where you stand also will let you know if he's gonna pursue you or not.
And
like,
they're kind of also like red flags if you start feeling that within your gut, like, oh, I know, like, maybe he doesn't like me that way. Or, you know, because I know I've been in situations where, like, a guy will tell me, you know, like, hey, I'm interested, and, you know, it's mutual between each other. And then during, you know, the time, as time goes on, I start to realize, well, he's not really putting in the time. He says it, but it's not showing by what he does. And it's the same thing, you know, like, he'd always say, well, I'm busy, and then literally maybe the next day, or I'd see him going out with some friends, and it's just like, okay, well, you tell me you're busy, but yet you're making that time for other people. And I know when I was going through that, you know, my sister really consoled me, and she told me, but we're girls, you know, we let our emotions get the best of us, and we're like, no, like, maybe he just, like, he didn't have time yesterday, maybe he has more time today. But honestly, it was never like that. And she helped me, you know, go through that, because it was really tough on me, and it made me really feel like I wasn't cared for, I guess you can say. And a Bible verse that she told me, and that had really helped me, is let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. And that is 1 John 3:18. And it really helped me. It really did help me, because it's like you said, you know, they'll say that they like you, but they don't put the time in.
So you're gonna see their interest in the way they pursue you and the way they're intentional with their relationship with you. They won't make you feel confused or make you wonder where you stand. And you know, that's how we get hurt. We put so much time, effort, affection into these people, and we expect it in return. But in reality, we can't expect something from someone, you know, that like we don't know what they're going through, or you know, maybe they have things that they have to heal with within their own, and we can't expect that from someone else. But I just want you to know that if you're expecting that from somebody, like, just know if you're giving that already to them, they don't have to do the work because you're already doing it for them. They already know, like, oh, I don't have to do much because I'm already receiving the benefits of your affection without even having to put any work. So I think just being conscious of those things and realizing, okay, if they're doing that, then I think it's time for me to take a step back.
So the next point that we want to touch upon is learning to love yourself first. I know for me it's something hard that I've always struggled with. It's not easy, especially with society. You know, it's so easy to compare yourself to other people, to say, well, I don't look like that, or, you know, just in general, you know, it's really hard to do that. And I know that I went through a period in my life where I was talking to a guy, and, you know, like we stated in the points before, is that he would say he was interested, but he never made the time. And so with that being done, it made me question myself, well, why isn't he wanting to hang out with me? Or, you know, he says one thing, but the way that he acts is different. So it made me really question myself, you know, am I worthy? Am I really worthy? You know, it made me feel really bad about myself. And during that time, you know, it was just something really hard for me to go through. And something that helped me was really focusing on what God says about me and how God values me. It was something that I had to do constantly because it wasn't easy, you know, to go from one day to another and say, you know, I'm so worthy, I'm so, you know, but really learning to see how God views you and how he values you is really important, because then if you don't do that, what ends up happening is that you start seeking it within other people. And if those people don't value you the way that you should be, it will really affect your self-esteem and your confidence. And doing so and learning how God values you, you start to value yourself like that. And when it comes to relationships, you start to really recognize, okay, well, this person isn't treating me the way that I should. Well, you know what? I'm gonna keep my distance.
So to continue off of what Sister Dani was talking about right now, I think this is something that's really tough, especially as women, is we tend to compare ourselves, you know, like, I know for me, like, I would see the type of girls who would like on Instagram, or the girls that he would talk to, like, I see him talking around, you know, at events, and I'm like, well, I don't look like that. What if I start dressing like this? Or what, maybe I need to hit the gym and lose a few pounds. Like, you know, like, you start to want to even change yourself for a person, you know. And we need to learn to love ourselves, and how she said, learn to see how God views us. And he views us as, you know, his creation, as a masterpiece, you know, and his word says that we're his masterpiece. And, you know, artists take their time to make it the best possible. So if God did that and created you intentionally, then who are we to question how God created us? And also learn to recognize your worth. Don't be afraid to know, like, what you bring to the table. Don't be ashamed of it. Like, and I feel like sometimes we may feel like it's conceited, but you need to know, so that way the other person is willing to pay the price of having you. Like, let's say, okay, I make things, right? So I make wedding pieces, I do things like this, like that. And sometimes I get inquiries and people say, oh, how much is this? And then, you know, this is with 10 hours of labor. That's with, you know, me bringing the supplies. That's with me with back pains at the end of making something. And they're not willing to pay the price of something handmade that takes a lot of time and labor. And the thing I've learned is, someone who values the work and sees how much it's worth is willing to pay the price for it. And someone who isn't, that's it. That's a job that's gone, you know? And so I think knowing how much you're worth, you're not going to be willing to put yourself for sale and lower your value for someone else. Like, make them pay full price for you. Like, and, you know, I have to tell myself, like, no, like, just because that person didn't like me doesn't mean I don't have potential. Doesn't mean that I'm not good enough, because I am. Like, and I had to tell myself, okay, look at yourself. Okay, and then I say, okay, I can teach, right? I work in the kids ministry. I'm even learning and studying how to do that as a profession. You know, I may not sing the best, but if you put me, I can sing a few songs. You know, I'm not the worst. I'm not tone deaf. If you need me to play an instrument, I know how to play bass. Not the best again, but I can do it. Like, you know, I'm creative, I can do this and this. And I'm like, no, like, you're not gonna find that everywhere.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find a woman who's willing to pray. You're not gonna find a woman who's, you know, who reads her Bible all the time. Like, know what you bring to the table. And if you see someone who's interested but isn't willing to pay full price, he's gone, you know? Learn to value yourself and what you bring to the table, for sure.
One more point that I wanted to add on to it is that someone that really values themselves will value other people the same way.
Ooh, girls getting fire over here. Ooh.
Because no, and it's true. It's true because if the person is making you feel one way, that's just the way that they make you feel. So if they're making you feel bad about yourself, they're making you feel unworthy of yourself, then it's most likely that that person is feeling the same way about themselves. Rather, if someone knows and is confident within themselves, they're gonna pass on that on to you. So.
And so during the stage of singleness where you're learning to value yourself and know more about yourself, I think it's important to acknowledge if you have any toxic habits, you know, because maybe it's not the other person, sometimes it's us. And as you're learning to love yourself, you have to seek genuine change. Like, and I was reflecting on why things didn't work out with certain people, and you know, there's some problems on my end, not just the other person. You know, like seeing that I had expectations on him, and because he wasn't reaching them, I was upset and would be mad and towards him, when you know he's not God, he's human too. Or like learning, okay, when I get upset when someone hurts me, I completely avoid them and I let them know how I feel. When that's mean, that's rude. Like, you don't do that to people. But it's a self defense mechanism. But when we recognize our toxic habits, it's something that we can render to God and seek genuine transformation for God to mold us and take away those things. So when we go to the person that God has for us, we're not bringing that baggage and throwing it on them. No, we're removing that and ready to make a strong relationship.
So another point that we wanted to touch upon was don't put yourself or don't let other people place you as a stereotype. And what I mean by that is that people like to stereotype single people as lonely, as miserable, bitter, maybe even like, oh, nothing in their life is meaningful because they have no one to share it with. But it's not true. Like, we're not those type of people.
No.
And I feel like you really have to seek true joy within God and allow God to radiate that joy with other people. And it's something that you have to constantly practice. You know, maybe being around other people can be like, oh, well, I have no one. And maybe it's hard, you know, to not feel like that because you're probably around people that are in a relationship or have a significant other, and you're probably just like, well, where's my person, you know?
It's true, especially now that we're older, especially if you're in your 20s, you know, mid-20s, I feel like all your friends are dating, so then you're kind of like, oh, something wrong with me. They're all like with somebody, and I'm
it's true. But don't feel like that, you know. Enjoy your life, enjoy the friendships that you have, enjoy, you know, travel if you want, you know, do something that will make you happy, that will take away that focus, and really allow and enjoy every opportunity that God presents into your life, and enjoy it to the fullest. Because when you do get in a relationship, it kind of becomes harder, you know, to enjoy the things that you used to do when you were single, maybe like hanging out with friends or, you know, whatever it may be. Because now you have to not only take yourself accountable, but you have to take someone else accountable as well.
And so being single is really hard because sometimes you may become bitter. And I know I faced this myself where I think it was after high school, I had liked somebody and, you know, I was hurt because it didn't work out, and like the guy was mean, avoided me. You know, I think is you bump into these people at events, especially if, you know, the people from church, you're gonna bump into them eventually. So the fact that like I could feel that they were intentionally avoiding me, or, you know, things like that, it hurts. And so you become angry and you become hurt, and you're like, you know what? all guys are like that. And so
Yeah.
then you kind of like bundle them up together and say, okay, you know, we start to think, oh, you know, if they're all like that, then why even try to get into a relationship? Why put myself out there and let my heart, you know, be willing to love again? And I remember, like, I had to really seek God and deepen my relationship with him. And I remember after that, I was able to let go. And, you know, a few years passed by, and now I'm a senior in college, and I finally allowed myself to like someone again. I remember I was like, never again. Not after that guy, like, never again. I'm never gonna like someone again. But this guy was different from the rest, or so I thought. And you see, there it goes. That's bitterness right there. You see, I caught myself. And I was like, you know, like, as much as I didn't want to like this person, like, I couldn't help but feel like this could potentially be the person that God has for me. Like, he was completely opposite to me, but it's just so many things just clicked in my head, like, oh, this would be great, you know? And of course, things didn't work out, and you know, it's kind of how we talked about red flags. And I knew from the beginning, you know, that I prayed about it, and God's like, it's not the right time. But I went on and still liked him. And I remember after everything happened, and only recently was I really able to let go and allow God to start healing me from the process. And I remember I could feel those, like, I go through a process every time. It starts off with me first, like, I'm hurt, I don't want to look at them, I don't want to be near them, and then I jump to the stage of bitterness. And this has happened with me, and that's when it's so important to reflect upon yourself and how you internalize things like this, because if you're not careful, you allow those things to take root in your heart.
Yeah.
Something I've learned is you have to learn to know yourself. Realize, okay, how am I going to react to this? Is that what God says I should do? If it's not, then those are things I need to allow God to heal and fix in me. And one thing I learned too is confront it instead of just allowing those feelings to deepen. I know for me, if it's something that bugs me, then it just, like, the way I face it, like, it's worse and worse and worse. And then I had to tell myself, okay, I have the option to either allow these feelings to continue, or I can just confront the issue or talk to the person, let them know how I feel or how they're making me feel. And when you do that, and if you're a person like me that needs to confront in order to heal, trust me, the other person probably doesn't even know that they've made you feel like this. Or you know, and once you have those conversations, even though it might be scary, or even if, you know, that means like this is for real, closing this chapter, you feel peace, you know, and also seeking the peace that God can only bring. Because even if you do confront them, it's gonna get it off your chest, but only true peace comes when God comes and heals you. Currently going through that stage where you feel like you're getting bitter and you feel like there's no good men out there, like, trust me, we understand. I know that's how I currently feel at the moment, and I'm not gonna say like, get over it, like, because how can I say that if I myself find that very hard to do? But what I've been learning is to just trust God's timing and not my own. Like, only God knows why things didn't work out. And sometimes he does show you, like, have you ever liked someone and then once everything's done, you're like, ew, he wasn't even that cute. Or like, ew, he was mean, or he was like this. And you say, thank you, God, you saved me from that, you know? And so maybe right now you can't see exactly why it didn't work out. But give it some time. Allow God to give you the revelation of why. And it's because if God didn't give it to you now, then it shows you that he has something better in store for you in the future. And Ecclesiastes 3:11, I want to read that really quick, says like this. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. And I think seeing this verse is really important and putting it in your heart, because, you know, right now it might not be the time, but in his timing, you know, everything, he's gonna make everything work together. Is me with the person who's gonna value me, someone who's gonna pursue me, someone who's gonna see my worth, who's not gonna make me feel confused or angry or hurt or bitter, you know, the list can go on. And so, you know, seeing that you have a future.
So the last point that we want to touch upon is having hope for your future. I know that sometimes it can be really difficult to do that. I'm 21 and I've never had a boyfriend. So, you know, to be honest, it does get kind of challenging. But something that has really helped me was remembering and knowing that God has created someone special for me. So something that has really helped me throughout my singleness has been to really pray for my future spouse, even though I don't know who he is. It has been something that has brought comfort to me, and something that I can encourage you to do is to really pray for him. Ask God to prepare you both to be the spouse that you guys need to be for each other.
And there's actually someone on Instagram, they're called Shiloh Collect or something like that. I'll put it somewhere down there. I don't know how. I'll figure it out. But they just released a book that's called Sealed or something like that. And the book itself comes with different things to pray for your spouse, whether you know them or not, or whether you're engaged or whether you're single. Like, it has for everyone, and I think this has been helpful because she even uploaded just a page of things to pray for your future spouse, and that's not something I really do because I don't know what to pray for the person or like and again, it comes back to like bitterness, and it's like, well, what if there's no one for me? Then what if I'm just praying and it's nobody, And maybe that is the path God has for some of us, and that's okay. But but I remember opening it up and I was like, okay, like I'll read, just what she had posted, and I'll pray about that. And it said pray for his scripture life, that he has the desire to memorize scripture. And I remember I prayed and I was like, okay, I'll pray about this. And and you can feel like power when you pray. And it's like, okay, the next thing said, now pray that he has desire to seek Jesus every day. And it's like, dang, those are things that we think about for ourselves. But if we do that for someone else, like, the word of God says that when we speak out, it doesn't come back void. So that means when we speak something else, when we confess it, it has the power to actually do something. It won't come back without having done, what we asked. And so, taking those moments to like, okay, like, maybe I'm going to issue, like, internally, maybe I may not feel like there's someone for me or, but no, there's a hope in a future for me, and I can pray for that person already from right now. I pray that I become the person that this person wants, like, we can't expect and pray for Boaz, when we're not even half of Ruth, like, we have to work on ourselves too and pray, okay, let me be the person that the other person desires. How can I be, Dorca material? I'm playing, but like, how can I be a person that's gonna benefit the relationship and, be a healthy partner and, and so on and so forth.
And something that I also wanted to add on was that, preparing for this series that we were speaking upon singleness, I was getting my thoughts together, and my sister had sent me a quote, and it says, maybe God hasn't given you that relationship of your dreams because he's preparing you for the marriage of your prayers. And it really touched me, because I know for me it has always been a desire that the first boyfriend that I do ever have is the guy that I will marry. And so I just want to let you guys know that there is someone special out there for you, whether you know him, maybe you guys are friends and you don't know that he's gonna be the one, or maybe you still haven't met him, but just know that God has created someone special for you.
So that concludes our vlog. We hope that it's been edifying and helpful. And just remember to put your priorities first. Know where you stand with your relationship with God. Seek him, your ministry, and how you can please him first.
Definitely.
In this season of singleness. Allow him to pursue you. Don't do all the heavy lifting. That comes after, once y'all are a thing. But if you're not, like, let him know his intentions. Like let him know how he feels towards you. And if he really does care and likes you, he's going to let his intentions be known. And then also learn to value and love yourself. Know what you bring to the table. Don't be ashamed to put, full price. And if someone isn't willing to pay the price, don't go on sale for them. Don't lower your worth. And also, don't allow bitterness and resentment to enter your heart. Allow God to heal you, mold you, and fix you right now in this season of singleness. And when the time is right, God's going to bring you the hope and future that, you always desired. And we may have dreams, like how she said in the quote, of the person we might want. But the thing about God is that he doesn't give us what we want. He gives us what we need. And what I've seen countless of times is he always surpasses what I ever wanted for myself. So just know that there's a hope and a future for you. And as his word says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. And, it's not to bring you harm, but it's to bring you hope and a future.
Yeah.
So God bless you, and stay tuned for our next vlog, which is Dating with Purpose. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.